did before?
Sure. I think we had a very productive meeting. We've already scheduled another meeting for next Tuesday to get another update. We have a very fluid situation where the funds that typically pay some employees that are state employees but are federally funded are not coming, and we've got to take some action. The governor needs to take some action to make sure that we're not ringing up bills where there is no funds to pay them, and he's explained that pretty well. There are a whole host of other things that go on that give the governor will have some flexibility to maybe move some employees from one place to another to make sure some essential services are covered because of his action.
I think that the meeting really provided an opportunity for the Democratic and Republican leadership to really sit down, have the conversation. This is something that the governor only recently been looking at and talking about, and so I think it was appropriate. Actually, the governor reached out to both Republican and Democratic leadership last Friday to try to schedule a meeting for Monday. Schedules did not allow that to happen, so the meeting happened today. So we appreciate the governor reaching out to us early on in this process. And we were all briefed at the same time when that proclamation came down. And so we didn't get any secret briefing ahead of time before the Democrats did. This all was very fluid. And I think that what's really important here at the end of the day is that the governor really, by doing this proclamation, if some state employees have to get laid off, they can immediately get unemployment benefits, which they may not be able to get if there was not such a proclamation. So he's doing this to help state employees.
Are you convinced that this is a necessary step?
Well, I think that the bottom line here is that this is the governor, as the chief executive of the state of Maine. It is his responsibility to run the state. And we recognize that and acknowledge that. This is the course that he's decided to take. I'm supportive of it because I think it's a responsibility that he has as a businessman running a state to say, do we have monies to pay these bills?
This has been characterized as an overreach by the Attorney General and some other folks. How would you respond to that?
Pure politics.
Ken, doesn't this allow the administration to supersede the bumping rights within the union contract and cherry pick which employees he wants to lay off and which ones he doesn't?
No, as a matter of fact, they made it very clear that indeed there was going to be a great deal of bumping going on, that folks from that administer or take care of the union contracts made that very clear, so I don't think that's the case at all.
Can you get any sense of what other actions the governor might take under this power?
Well, I think that the governor made it clear that it's such a fluid situation that we're not sure exactly what can and can't be done, but certainly that's why we set up a meeting for next Tuesday. He wants to make sure that everybody involved has an opportunity to be informed as to what's going on, wants to make sure that Ken and I, as well as the Democratic leadership, know what's happening and are well versed in the issues that are coming forward. One of the examples that the governor used was a park down in, or a pier down in Washington County that is a state-owned pier, but apparently it's on federal land, and because of that they kept fishermen from going to work. That's unacceptable, and because of this, he thinks maybe he'll have the authority to get them folks back to work, back out fishing. That sort of thing is very important to Maine's economy, and the governor is very sensitive to keeping as many people employed and working here in the state as possible. So.
Let's be clear about one issue here. This is unprecedented in the state of Maine. Back in 1995, when they did the shutdown, federal shutdown, state employees were exempt. And so this is a brand new situation. Governors in the past have done civil proclamations such as this on issues far less important, such as the price of diesel fuel. This is a national crisis. And so the governor here is simply trying to do his job, looking at flexibility, communicating with the legislature, and working with this together. And I think that's what's really important here, is this is not a time to be playing politics with this issue. There are tens of thousands of state employees. The governor's trying to do the right thing to help them as much as he can. This is about public safety, and this is not a time to be using this as a political opportunity.
The House has also already passed a bill in Washington that would allow state employees to be exempt. Hopefully the Senate will take action very soon, and that the President will buy into that so that we can exempt the state employees and this crisis goes away. So let's hope that the senators in Washington, D.C. take action very soon.
Are you unhappy that the governor and his staff did not consult legislative leadership ahead of time?
Well, again, they tried to set up a meeting with legislative leadership on Monday, and frankly, schedules wouldn't allow for.
But
the
they could
group
have
to get
called you
together.
and said, we're thinking of doing this, what do you think?
They actually did call us yesterday and let us know what they had come up with for a plan. This plan actually finally came together yesterday. It's a very fluid situation, and they have absolutely promised, and I believe that they're committed to making sure that everybody involved has the information as soon as it's available.
How come other governors haven't taken this action?
Well, I think the reality is that other states have different constitutions, they have different union contracts. There's all kinds of different powers that the chief executive has versus the powers that legislatures have, and so this is the choice of one chief executive here in the state of Maine that took to do this. I thought it was a responsible approach. I think the meeting today was a productive meeting in terms of communicating where his intentions were. They indicated that they would continue those communications in a forthright manner. And I look forward to working with the Democratic leadership and with the governor so that we're doing the job for the people of the state of Maine.
You mentioned the House bill in Congress that would allow state employees to be exempt from this. So does this action sort of dovetail with that House bill? Which, as we all know, there are various CRs that are being passed in Congress that are being objected to by Democratic lawmakers.
Yeah, I don't know that it necessarily dovetails to it, but it certainly seems like a solution. If we could get this done, all of a sudden we don't have this crisis here in the state of Maine. So I would really encourage the folks in the Senate to pass that and pass it soon, so that when we're here next Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock, we're talking about the past crisis rather than the ongoing crisis.
Will you be communicating with Senator Collins or King about that?
I absolutely will be talking to Senator Collins' office about this thing, and I'm sure she's very supportive of it. Ken and I actually were in D.C. last week having some conversations, and she wants to see this shutdown ended as soon as practical and possible. So.
Did the governor give you any sense of if we're going to see more furloughs and when?
I think the reality is that it's only a matter of time. There's buckets of money, and the question is the bucket empty? And if the bucket's empty, you don't have money to pay someone, then you've got an issue. Or if the bucket is very, very shallow and there's only a little bit of money, maybe you can keep that employee on for 1 or 2 days. And so this is a very fluid situation where as each day goes by and money is depleted, more and more people will become affected.
Any sense of what happens in the event that the governor goes forward and does lay off these employees? Once the situation in Washington is resolved, would they be hired back, to your understanding?
Yes, absolutely.
As a matter of fact, the governor pointed out that one of the authorities that he should be able to have because of this proclamation is that the employees won't have the obligation of going out and seeking other employment in order to receive their unemployment benefits. So there's all sorts of things that will result as a result of this proclamation, and make it easier for these folks to get a little bit of income and be ready to go back to work once this thing is resolved in Washington, D.C.
But not a backdoor way to make other reductions or anything like that.
I don't think there's any intention that, this idea that this is some sort of conspiracy that the governor has or some sort of plan that he has to do something bad is just really ridiculous. The governor has been really straightforward here. He's trying to do his job as the chief executive, and we ought to embrace the opportunity to work with the chief executive so that we can get through this as state employees, make sure that we do public safety for the people out there. This is not a time to be suspicious and playing politics.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.